Hey guys, welcome to That Florida Feeling. Hope everybody's having a good spooky month. I know that Florida is full of plenty of ghosts, having lived in St. Augustine and experienced a few. And I thought we would talk about a couple more today. But first, don't forget to check out all the social media sites and Unfiltered Studios. There are some amazing people with amazing podcasts. If you're looking for a new one to listen to, you definitely need to head over to Unfiltered Studios and check it out. Today, we're going to talk about some ghosts. Not just any ghost. Ghost in Sarasota. I mean, we can assume that a lot of Florida's haunted due to its past. But Sarasota kind of holds its own when it comes to some hauntings. The first part of Sarasota we're going to talk about is Historic Spanish Point. Historic Spanish Point could probably be the most haunted part of Sarasota County. So let's start off with a good one. This site is actually in Osprey. And it is believed to be inhabited by not only the people who lived there years ago, and I mean like hundreds of years ago, but it's also believed to be haunted by some of Florida's earliest settlers as well. Now, of course, long before anybody arrived in Sarasota in the 1500s, the Gulf Coast region was home to Florida's earliest inhabitants. And Historic Spanish Point actually housed two different Native American shell middens, which is like hills, and then one burial mound. This is actually recognized as one of the largest Native American mortuary sites or burial grounds in the southeastern U.S., right smack dab in Sarasota. Well, outside of Sarasota, but in Sarasota County near Osprey. And these archaeological sites have dated back between 1,000 and 3,000 years. And everybody that goes there kind of to like see what else is there inevitably always has something to tell. There are tons of apparently spiritual activity out there at these mounds. And Historic Spanish Point, first being the Native Americans, secondly is also home to a second burial place, the Pioneer Cemetery, established following the arrival of the Webb family, as well as a couple other families, the Guptills, the Blackburns, and the Roberts. And this was all in the 1860s. And apparently, they just never left. Visitors to Spanish Point report catching glimpses of these settler spirits roaming the grounds among the live oak and gumbo limbo trees. And you can still see them in full dress, full-bodied apparitions, full dress. Near the cemetery is Mary's Chapel, named in honor of Mary Sherrill, a 20-year-old guest who arrived at the Webb Resort in 1892 in hopes that Florida climate would help her tuberculosis. Unfortunately, it did not. Mary passed away. But it is said to this day that some faint chime of church bells can be heard ringing in her chapel at night. Another person that you might encounter at Historic Spanish Point, Chicago socialite, businesswoman, and agriculturalist, words are hard, Bertha Palmer. She was one of the most influential figures in developing what is modern-day Sarasota. Palmer arrived in Florida in 1910 and established her 350-acre winter estate on the former Webb settlement, now known as Historic Spanish Point. People have seen Bertha roaming through the gardens or the estate from time to time. So apparently everybody that went to Historic Spanish Point liked it so much that they just decided not to leave. So maybe go check it out if you're looking for some unusual encounters. Or you could check out the next place, Rosemary Cemetery. Another place where prominent members of Sarasota's founding families were laid to rest. Also one of the spookiest according to locals in the city. The site is home to about 740 grave sites with 380 recorded burials dating back to 1887, not to mention a lot of ghosts. Figures at rest in Rosemary include some of Sarasota's original Scottish colonists, its first mayor, Colonel John Hamilton Gillespie, local developer Owen Burns, and Reverend Lewis Colson, a pioneering survey and prominent member of Sarasota's earliest Black community. Now, in addition to being Sarasota's first mayor and most influential real estate developers, John Hamilton Gillespie is recognized for also creating the first golf course in Florida. Probably also might be the United States. Right in Sarasota. Now, can you possibly encounter him? Yes, you actually can. If you're bold enough to roam through the Rosemary Cemetery alone, you just need to listen closely. You actually can still hear people playing golf. So, his love of golf was not hampered by the grave. Now, paranormal people who've been there also encountered some restless ghosts. Apparently, the cemetery is home to the restless ghosts of the Green family, who were victims of a grisly family massacre at the hands of their husband and father, Eli Green, in 1887. And apparently, they are not resting easy. Mediums who visit the cemetery often report that Miss Green and her 3 children would like to communicate from beyond the grave. They've also been seen wandering through the cemetery. The cemetery is also known for random cold spots, disembodied voices, of course, full-bodied apparitions, and just some unusual things. It holds an air of creepiness to it. If you don't want to explore a cemetery, and I don't really blame you if you don't, you can always check out the theater. The theater district has its own set of haunts, and I've said it before and I will say it again, every theater's haunted. These people are so passionate about what they do that when they go on, they leave literally their spirit behind. So it is not surprised that the theater district is haunted in Sarasota. From W.C. Fields to Betty Davis, Cecil B. DeMille, Will Rogers, and even Elvis Presley, Sarasota liked to attract stars from the 1920s through post-war mid-century. And this really is also kind of what helped shape the downtown theater district. Some people even believe that maybe some of the royalty of the celebrity royalty like to enjoy the show. Literally a Phantom of the Opera. Downtown Sarasota's historic theaters, the Sarasota Opera House, formerly the Edwards Theater, where Elvis actually performed in 1956, and the Florida Studio Theater have their fair share of hauntings. The Florida Studio Theater's artistic director, Richard Hopkins, has a series of... He had a series of exorcisms actually performed on the Florida Studio Theater, particularly Keating Theater, in the 1980s to dispel disruptive ghosts. Apparently, they were so bad that sometimes the shows would just stop midway through. The Keating Theater was originally constructed in 1915 as the Sarasota Women's Club, and Hopkins has said it's home to a collection of boisterous spirits who would tap on the walls, shine shafts of light on the stage at random, interrupt people, be seen roaming, or be heard talking. I mean, I don't know if I would exorcism, but whatever. Employees of the Opera House also claim to hear shuffling footsteps. And that's from a specter who just roams the opera at night, probably looking for a friend to watch the show with. The specter, though, has been maybe known to roam the street between the Opera House and the former Golden Apple Theater, which was the nation's longest running dinner theater until it closed in 2013. So it's possible that some of these spirits are the same spirit. Some of them just want to take a show in, and some of them just want to have fun. The next place you could go is actually a really famous place in Sarasota. I've talked about it in a podcast. It's the Ringling Estate. Business magnate and developer John Ringling and his wife Mabel first came to Sarasota to establish a winter headquarters for the Barnum and Bailey circuses in the 1920s. The Ringlings also made Sarasota their own winter home and built the Venetian Gothic Cottazon, and it overlooks Sarasota Bay. They did so in the 1920s. Now, you can actually still visit the Cottazon to see how the Ringlings would have lived. The mansion's neighboring estate art galleries, which actually houses a huge huge, extensive collection of Baroque and Renaissance paintings. This actually was John Ringling's final gift to the state upon his death in 1936. But John and Mabel made their final resting places at beloved Sarasota estate, and they are actually buried alongside Mabel's rose garden on the Ringling grounds. Now, since she is actually buried on the grounds, it is no surprise that they have reported numerous encounters over the years of encountering John, Mabel, and their phantom dog. Plenty of mediums have gone and reported hundreds of ghost encounters in the mansion. And so it's not really surprising that you would hear like music playing from parties that don't exist, people talking, especially because Mabel and John were avid entertainers. And the museum docents and guards actually also say that the ghost of John likes to visit the art galleries to admire his beloved collection that he didn't apparently want to ever give up. So you can see John and Mabel and their dog if you're lucky. You can hear the parties they threw, or you can hear people talking about how good the parties they were. You can also still visit the Cottazon. I know it did get some damage from Helene, but you can visit it and the grounds and see if you yourself can run into John or Mabel. Personally, I'd want to meet the dog. Just saying. Now, one of the reasons that John only left the painting collection was because he was actually bankrupt. And the reason he was bankrupt is another haunted place in Sarasota. The unfinished Ringling Hotel / Chart House. When John Ringling and then business partner Owen Burns began construction on a massive hotel, they had no idea that it was going to be just a bad time. They were going to build it on Longboat Key, and they were so confident in the hotel's success that Ringling poured $650,000 of his own money, which would be about 8.75 for today's inflation, into this project. Super ambitious, super beautiful, super bad timing. Unfortunately, though, for the ambitious developers, their plans of a luxury hotel were also at the time of the Florida land bubble bursting in the 1920s, also the Great Depression. Just as tourism was receding and the Great Depression loomed, the bubble busted. And so did most of Ringling's holdings in real estate, banks, and the circus. So what they do? They just stopped. They stopped building it. Construction on the half-finished Ritz-Carlton halted and basically just sat there for decades. Long time before it was demolished. Ringling died bankrupt in 1936, as I said, and only left his art collection to the state of Florida. Now, the overgrown Ringling Ritz-Carlton Hotel was literally a skeleton of a building. And it really became a haunt for local teens and locals. And they used to call it the Ghost Hotel due to its eerie encounters that you would have there. Now, unfortunately, the scene is also a bit of a tragedy. Sarasota County historian Jeff Lard tells Longboat Key Observer that many people have fallen to their death, possibly up to 8, before they demolished it in 1964. A lot of people say that the ghosts still linger to this day on that site.
Dave.
Liam.
It's a trailer.
Watch It If You Can podcast. Join us for each episode as we create box sets of our favourite films and TV shows.
We go through the cast to see what else they've been in, along with any recommendations.
We pick our favourite characters, performances, moments and highlights from the soundtrack too.
We ask if there's anything to make it better and look at the lasting legacy of our pick.
We have a little fun with our quickfire round, and finally, what else would you like list based on themes from the episode.
Maybe, just maybe, you should watch it if you can.
What if they've already seen it?
Well, you can watch it again if you can.
Now, the Chart House building and restaurant actually resides on the place where the Ghost Hotel was. People report feeling sudden chills, hearing voices that aren't there, and footsteps of people who are wondering that they can't see. So, kind of makes you wonder, what is going on in Sarasota? But say you visited Sarasota and you have had all these adventures and now you need a drink. Well, let's go to the Gator Club. because those spirits there aren't just the ones in a bottle. The two-story brick building, which stands on Main Street and Lemon Avenue, was actually built in the early 1900s by William David Worth. And it was actually going to be a grocery store with a family residence upstairs. But of course, nothing ever stays as it was. It's actually been a cigar shop, an ice cream parlor, a speakeasy, and even a brothel. Now, it is now a club or a nightclub, and one of the bartenders has actually worked there for 30 years, and he's become accustomed to strange reports. It's been reported that a brothel's madam is still around, and she likes to play jokes on new hires. That's kind of funny. Sounds like St. Augustine. A young boy in the 1920s attire also materializes in photos that are often taken on the dance floor. You don't know it. He's there until you look at your picture. And then a shadowy presence of inebriated man has been sensed in the pool hall. Now, a spirit that the staff actually calls Miss Worth, after the site's original matriarch, is actually most people's favorite. And she likes to appear upstairs just sitting on the love seat. Like she's just waiting for someone. And she's still there. You can still see her appear. And it's kind of like she's just watching over her home many, many, many years later. Another place that you can probably find a ghost is Keating Hall at Ringling College. Ringling College of Art and Design acquired the once glamorous Bay Haven Hotel, and they didn't know what they were in for. Basically, the hotel was neglected during Florida's land crash, and the luxury lodgings became a house of ill repute, i.e. a brothel, before being converted into ladies' dormitories in 1931. That's far funnier. But co-eds would move in, and then they would hear crying, just loud crying from the stairwell. And if anybody would go and investigate, they would smell stale perfume. They would start crying. They would be overcome by sadness, short of breath, heart racing. And nobody ever really encountered, except for a few brave souls, the ghost of Mary. The ghost of Mary was a lady of the evening, and she made a fatal mistake of falling in love with one of her clients. Of course, her feelings were not, they were unrequited. It was not mutual. And she sought peace at the end of a rope. She hung herself in the stairwell. And when the hotel authorities concealed her passing, Mary, twice cheated on, found herself in pretty much limbo. She pretty much roams with her sad heart this hall. She's known to rearrange the contents of rooms, place phantom phone calls to security, pinch those that have doubts she's there, or sob loudly in the stairwell. You do kind of feel for Mary. I'm just saying, you do. Like she was still a human being. Now, if you go to Sarasota and you're looking for some amazing ghosts, you probably can find them there. You know, they have ones from long time ago, all the way up to the Ringlings, all the way up to poor Mary, who passed within the last 100 years. But you're also likely to encounter paranormal enthusiasts like yourself, people who are just thrill-seeking, and probably Florida Man. Today's Florida Man comes to us from Marion County. He built a fortress of tires around his property. Which, like, where do you get all those tires? That's my question. That's, like, how do you, they even nicknamed it. They named it the Black Fortress. And the primary feature of the Black Fortress is its walls, which is just made of stacks and stacks of black tires, truck tires, tractor tires. I mean, you name it, they're just tires. And the property owner pretty much surrounded his entire house with it, entire property. And each tire is filled with dirt, mulch, or horse poop, apparently, to keep them together. They even line the driveway with them now, some. I just, I don't want to see a wall of tires. I don't want to smell old tires. I just don't. And apparently the man just keeps bringing in more tires and building more things. But I feel like a farm fence of tires is possibly the worst way to dispose of old tires. Like, I really do. I just can't see that this being a good thing. Like, there's got to be a better way. Like, just a better way than giving this man tires to create his own fortress. But, I mean, to Florida man's credit, he is ingeniously using what he finds, whether he should or not. I hope that you enjoy spooky season. I hope that you go visit Sarasota for some haunts. I hope you do not go see the Tire Fortress in Marion County, because that's just weird. But be nice, guys. Wear your sunscreen. Drink your water. And as always, that's your daily dose of sunshine.
This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.